Madenba, or Vesgama, depending on when you're watching this. My name is Courtney Burgess, and this is my audiovisual presentation for CLT 1100, Introduction to Scottish Gaelic Language, Literature, and Folklore with Sheena McKenna. I will be instructing you on the ways of fairies, that is, or rather, the good neighbors. You will learn how to see them, at what time of the day, year, and where. You will also learn how to avoid the attention of them, how to keep them happy, how not to upset them, and, but possibly most importantly, how to placate them if you do upset them. Because elf walks are not enjoyable. But first of all, we'll start you off with showing you a few depictions of them. These are ones by Brian Sprout in his Fairy Oracle. Many of them do tend to be very humanoid, or some tend to be more animal. While they can be happy and friendly, they can also be malicious. Some of them tend to take on qualities we recognize in ourselves, while some of them can be vastly different and unrecognizable. As I said, they can be human-like or animal-like, or they can combine elements of the two, such as themselves. Now, another important thing is that they may not be human-like at all, or animal-like, or anything recognizable to us. They may be something entirely different, like glowing light. It depends on the person, it depends on the fairy. So, we want to learn about them. And the first thing to know after their appearance there is what they are attracted to. The easiest way to say this is they are attracted to change and the in-between state. Which means they like certain times of day that mark change, certain people mark change, certain times of year that mark change, certain locations that mark change. It all focuses on change. And the veils that mark the dimensions, spreading and flowering and things pass in between. So, and due to their existence on a separate plane, they may only interact at a halfway place. And it doesn't matter what the halfway is, whether it's between here and there, time of day, time of year, location, or anything else. It doesn't matter. The halfway place. So, let's get started on where. First of all, doorways are a huge place. That is where they would enter your home, generally. That would be the first option with most people. But doorways are sacred places because they mark the change from the outside to the in. And you even know already, most people, that it is unlucky to step on a threshold. Why do you know this? Because the traditional symbol of the groom carrying the bride over the threshold of their new house. Because thresholds are very unlucky to step upon. Now, you can protect your doorway with primroses across the threshold. You can also make them out of holly, or you can even do a defensive design in a Celtic knot, essentially. It's a tangle knot that leads the fairies astray so they can't make it across the threshold into the house. Another entrance into the home, it would be the hearth. It acts like for them as another type of doorway, but it can be protected in much of a similar way as the doorways. Primroses are great for this. So, another place is a bridge. Since it's neither land nor water, not quite anything there. And a curse broken on a bridge will be washed away. Any curse placed upon a bridge, upon a person who's on a bridge, will be carried away, will not hold. Many fairies live on bridges, interacting with passersby and asking them to dance often. These are the white ladies who are simply looking for entertainment. They will ask the passersby to dance with them, and if they are polite and dance, the fairies will bless them. If they are rude and refuse, the fairies will toss them in the water until they learn better manners. Seriously right. Another location is the wells. Now, wells were massively important in early days because they represent life. If there's no water, there's no life, and if you're in a place with no streams nearby, you need a well. Wells are clean drinking water. It is life. And they were often known for healing powers, and there were so many times saints associated, or fairies, or other creatures associated with wells. You would always make an offering to them, whether you knew the saint in them or not. There was one such being who inhabited a well, the Gaelic Hag, and she guarded a well near Ben Crosham that was inclined to overflow. So every night it was her duty to put the lid on a big slab over the well every night at sunset and take it off every sunrise. One time she got tired and fell asleep, and water flowed down the hill, drowning many people and forming Loch Off. This is a way for people to blame someone other than themselves, but also to have an interesting background to what happened. But it does show the awesome power of wells. Another location, crossroads. Walking down the street, got four different directions there essentially. It is the traditional location for contacting the other world. It's considered no man's land, and you could plant. There's often small plants or trees at the crossroads as offering spirits. Islands, similar to bridges, are neither land nor sea, depending on how big the island is, I suppose. And famously, certain islands are visible only at certain times. In Gaelic, the Isles of Blest, Lachlan, Green Meadows, famously Avalon, and the Isle of High Brasil, which is actually in Summer King, the second book in this one here. Really good book. Another location, stone circles and standing stones, like Stonehenge. Now, they can leave traces of wild dances around the stones, burnt circles in the grass. Wreaths of mist often surround the stones. And this is an important one. If you find a gap in the mist, that is your entrance into Ireland, into the other world. And that's, of course, more likely at times between times. Forests are alive with messages and chattering and whistling of the leaves, and it only takes a bit of paying attention to see what of that is actually animals and leaves, and what of that is otherworldly. Fairy rings are bright green rings, or more commonly, a circle of fairy ring mushrooms, which are poisonous, by the way. And it's a favorite dancing place of fairies. And if you join them, you will be lost to this world and forced to dance. And unless saved, it will continue. There are stories of people who have been lost in there and forced to dance until starvation, until they died. But there are more happy stories about people who would step into the fairy circle and danced, and their friends came looking for them, and accidentally stepped one foot into the circle and were able to see them suddenly and pulled them out and saved them. So there are happy stories about that. Finally, mounds or rafts, which are occasionally open. They're usually hills, burial grounds, but it's a burial chamber forming a hill. They date from the Neolithic periods onwards, and there's over 40,000 of them in Britain alone. They range from a few feet across to more than 300 feet in diameter. And it's a link between the living and the dead. It's thought that fairies lived in the mounds, and they could be opened at certain times between times, or at the knocking of a witch. And so going through there, you reach the other world with fairies ruled by Finbar, king of the Dunishi. That's all for where to find them, and we'll look more at when in a moment.